The most dangerous time to be on a motorcycle is during heavy stop and go traffic. Fender benders are common during rush hour. In a car, truck, or van, not the end of the world. On a motorcycle though, it very well may be. Here are a few tips and tricks to keep yourself safe. Most important on my list, not sitting in the middle of the lane. Rear end collisions are one of the most common type of accident in traffic. And you don't want to end up a car sandwich. That's the reason bikers lane filter. Not to be confused with lane splitting, which is dangerous. Lane splitting is when you're going way too fast in between cars. Filtering is when the cars are stopped or going very slow and you're going slightly faster than they are in between them for no other reason but to avoid the rear end collision. Filtering is illegal where you live and you would prefer not to risk a ticket. It doesn't mean you have to forfeit your safety. You can wait in the line. Just stay off to the side. So this way, when the guy in front of you stops and the guy behind you doesn't, you don't end up a sandwich. There goes a great example. See that car? That's not the guy you want to be in front of in traffic. Another important thing is keeping a safe following distance. That's always important, but even more so in traffic. Because you never know when the brakes are going to get hit. And even though you'll have time to stop, because motorcycles stop way faster than cars, for that same reason, the guy behind you might not be able to. So you want to pay attention on his behalf. You want to stop early, so this way if you see him not stopping, you have room to let off the brake and give him a little bit more distance to stop. If you see him still not stopping, that's when you want to move over to the side of the road. Always use your turn signal. That's another thing that should be done, traffic or no traffic. But in traffic, it's especially important because people are impatient. And they're not anticipating things the way they should be or the way they normally would be had there not been traffic. Using your signal and giving them a heads up on what moves you're going to make before you make them just makes it safer for everybody. And when you're on a motorcycle, you have to make it your responsibility to help other people become safe. Because at the end of the day, their car will get scratched, but your life will be taken. Also, you don't ever want to put the bike in neutral. When you come to a red light, stay in gear, stay on the clutch, and be ready to move if you need to. Not everybody's paying attention even for the lights. There's plenty of times someone comes up on a red light and blows right through it, not even realizing it's red. Why? Because they're playing with their phone. And so many people do that. The way I see it, smarter the phone, dumber the driver. And the phones just keep getting smarter and smarter. So what does that tell you about the drivers? Everybody thinks they're the best at everything. The worse they are, the better they think they are. Because society cares more about people's feelings than they do about facts. So if you suck at something, everybody else is expected to pretend you're really good at it so you can feel good. Funny thing is, when you're really good at something, everybody calls you names, attacks you, and tells you how much you suck. And I can't say this for a fact, but I tend to think that it's because they're jealous. That your skill makes people who don't have any skill look bad. And no matter how much they're being lied to about how good they are, they can see that they're not by the way that you carry yourself. So it used to be the opposite. It used to be if you were good at something, everybody would praise you, and if you were bad at something, everybody would knock you. And then they started saying, oh, don't be mean to people, be nice to people. So we started giving people passes. Even when the fact that they suck is dangerous, you give the people a pass because you get guilted into it. And then it went from that to, oh, well, be mean to the good people. Be mean to anybody that actually knows what they're doing, because it's hateful to know what you're doing when so many people don't. I know it doesn't make any sense. Trust me, I know it doesn't make any sense. It hurts my brain to even think about it, but that's how it is. Another thing that'll help you is keeping your brake and your clutch covered. The brake for obvious reasons. You want to be ready to stop when you need to. The clutch may not be so obvious, but it's just as important. On a motorcycle, if you come to a complete stop and you're not holding the clutch, the bike's going to stall. If the bike stalls, you can't move. If you come to an emergency stop and you glance at your mirror and you notice the guy behind you is not going to stop, you need to be able to go. And if you stall your bike, that won't happen. Also, watch people's mirrors. Most people do not look before they change lanes. They do not signal before they change lanes. But when I say they don't look, all I mean is they don't actually pay attention. They don't assess their surroundings. They don't know whether or not there's a car in the lane they want to jump into. But they will look in the direction as they're going to turn. Partially because it's just human nature to face the way that you want to go. But also, notice that so many of these newer cars have an indicator light on the side view mirror that lets the driver know when somebody's next to them. So even though they won't check their blind spot and they won't check the mirror for a car, they'll check the mirror for that little light. Now, on a motorcycle, it doesn't always trigger that light. And just like anything else electronic, that light can malfunction. So it's not always going to serve the purpose they expect it to serve. But it will serve your purpose if you're paying attention to the mirror. When you see that head turn, be ready. And the way I see it, whether they look at the mirror or not, every car you pass, treat them the same way. And that's like somebody that just caught you in bed with his wife. Not like an idiot, not like someone that's not paying attention, but somebody that's actively seeking to end you. Even though that's not the case, it'll keep you safe to think like that, because then you'll be ready for whatever happens. In one of my shorts, somebody opened the door on me after I already passed his rear wheel. But I was able to avoid it. Why? Because I was expecting him, just like every other car, to do everything in his power to stop me from getting home safely. It's sad that's how you have to look at it, but that's how you have to look at it. People blame us for everything. And it's funny because usually it's their fault. Yeah, motorcycles are quick, and yeah, a lot of us will go a little bit over the speed limit, but we're super focused, paying attention to everything around us, know where everybody else is on the road, unlike the cars. So somebody whose face is buried in the phone, scrolling through Instagram, that gets scared when you pass them, is going to blame you for it. It's just normal. People are for some reason allergic to personal responsibility, which is a big deal. Because if you don't take responsibility for your actions, you're never going to correct them. If you don't admit that you were doing something wrong, why would you ever change what you're doing? So, as long as these people blame us for everything, we have to almost pretend that everything really is our fault.
Ay, Douglas Antonio,